back to the Self-Revelation Podcast. It's your boy Bdab.
And I am Juan Moreno.
My brother, how you been? How you been feeling this past couple of days, man? How you doing?
I've been doing good, man. Just, continuing to, educate myself, better myself, learning, practicing different things that I've been reading inside, like certain books, like, trying to be practical with them. Because a lot of the ideas that I get do originate from, like, certain books, philosophy, and people, as well as my own experience. So I'm continually practicing those lessons in those books and see if maybe it'll work for me. Because a lot of times, I didn't grow up with somebody that guided me or put me in a position of like, hey, at this age you do this, or maybe, hey, you're going through this time as an adolescence, like you're gonna experience this. I had nobody to ever like give me a guide. Like how I said, like I have a father, I have a mother, but never mentally. Like I had the roof over my head and thankfully, food on the plate, but I didn't know how to like understand my emotions and how to listen to understand, not listen to reply, and like all those type of things that I am practicing now, which to some people, like to me, I feel like, wow, I'm a late bloomer. But then when you talk to other people, it's like, oh, they're still, not listening to people, and they're getting in their own way, and they're still judging themselves. So it's like, oh shit, actually I'm right exactly where I need to be, like in my journey. So I've been learning that, not trying to judge myself too much of my expectations and let go and just, move with the world and try to put myself in the best position to be successful in whatever it is.
Yeah, and then and rolling on to what you said last week, like, you're still happy with how everything is going as well, too.
Yeah, 100% too. And I always like to say that too, even at times where I am like going through my anxieties or my depression, because, something led to me being into that depression, either me having like high expectations or me judging myself so much because, let's say, kind of like we were saying before we started recording, like I could be running 5 miles every single day for like a month, but then that one day that I don't do it, I get so hard on myself because I feel like I quit. But in reality, like, oh, it's okay. Like, it's okay to take a break. You don't need to, put your expectations high because you've seen somebody else on the internet that does this type of discipline that you want to do, and you kind of want to be like that. But we're in different parts, different races, so it's kind of like take your time, don't judge yourself too hard. But at the end of the day, like I am very content in where I'm at because I'm in the place where I need to be. Like where I'm at right now is where I am right now. I don't need to, look into the future or look at this moment that I am in right now and be like, oh, you should have already had this at this age. You should already have had that. That's not, I think, the best way for you to think. I believe like you want to take it day by day and just plant those seeds. So I'm continuing to plant those seeds even at times where things are challenging and I can't see the clear picture, or maybe if my thoughts or what's going on in the world or my world is in the way, I have to try to do what's best and remind myself that I'm currently safe and happy at this moment. And I'm able to live, and I still have my family and my friends, and just be here. Like right now I'm here recording a podcast with you. I don't need to think about anything else but being right here with you.
Yeah, facts. And I appreciate what you said about, everybody's race is different. We're all running a similar race, but we're all on a different track, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't compare to somebody else because the only person that's on the track with you is you from that last year, you from the year before that, you the year before the last year, you know what I'm saying? So, it's it's a marathon, this isn't a sprint, so, it's all about longevity. So, like, how can you develop these good habits and be healthy and be happy, in the long run? You pursuing your dreams and grinding, how is this going to set you up for life? You know what I'm saying? So, in that same sense, the stuff that you're doing, you being present in your family, and, you being the oldest of how many?
9.
Not God. Yeah. Damn. God.
And you're almost scattered all around the world, damn near.
Bro, the youngest. I thought I had a big family, bro. I was like, ain't nobody gonna have more kids than me. But you proved me wrong. Youngest of 9, and not having that person, is big. You feel me? Like, when I think about my family and my nieces and nephews, I like without having younger brothers or sisters, they are my younger brothers and sisters because they live with us, they grew up with us, and watching me through actions kind of guided them in a way. So them having a person to look up to, and me having Bdab. Bdab really had it harder because he didn't have nobody. You know, it was really all my sisters, but you know they were already grown. My brother, you know, obviously Robert, you know, he was, you know, in and out of jail, going through a lot of stuff, and Jordan didn't. He was always looked as the older brother, even though he was the second to youngest. You know what I'm saying? So he had it tough, like, you know, growing up and stuff like that, and not having that person to model. You know, to model. But I mean, just how he is like now and how he takes care of his shit. He's always been like that. He's always taking care of his shit. But you know, and you know, you kind of, you know, you being the oldest, not having no one to like guide you in a way. It's bro, I couldn't imagine how hard it is. You know what I'm saying? Especially with all that pressure on your back, bro. Even right now, like it's probably pressures that, you know, you haven't even talked about. But, you know, still striving through all that, you know, it shows like, you know, your drive and your grind. You feel me? And it's respectable. You feel me? Like you have to respect stuff like that because you're trying to set a generational standard for your whole family. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for a lot of people too, you don't really get the recognition of like, oh, you're okay, you're doing the best you can, like you have the right mentality, just keep going. Like retrospect to myself, I never had that type of person to tell me like, oh, you're doing good, like, you know, hey, you're on the right path, like just stay consistent. I had to like develop that within myself, which was one of the best things for me because it developed me to grow quicker and faster according to somebody else that might have been spoon-fed, which nothing is wrong with being like, you know, getting, you know, raised with a silver spoon. But the thing is, sometimes depending on how they were raised, they were given so much things that they never suffered in order to achieve some type of success, happiness. Like if all you experience was like, you know, very easy life, when times get difficult and, you know, you never experienced that or nobody told you or talked to you about how when times get tough, you get tougher and you have to, you know, take the moment in and try to put yourself in that position again. Like if you never experienced that, when life gets tough, man, like a lot of people, that's what you see, some people, you know, end up committing like suicide or you hurt themselves or don't seek help. And I think it's so important. It's good that I went through what I went through. Like I loved my whole journey. Like my life ends tomorrow, I'll be happy with it. Like I'm completely content and at peace with the person who I am currently right now, even though sometimes I judge myself because I don't have or got to the point where I'm trying to reach long term. So sometimes like I'm in a race between time, but then I have to remind myself to just enjoy the time, like be here, love the people, talk to the people that mean the most to me, and, you know, try to be the model for my other siblings and try to create some type of structure for them. So like creating this podcast, one of the things that I really like wanted to do this too was to like leave something behind. Like if something happens or every time I talk to them, it feels like I'm lecturing them, because I also hear myself and I sound like I'm lecturing them because I'm sometimes would judge them because of what they're doing, because I see myself in them and where it would lead if you think a certain way. So I would try to like, you know, communicate with them in a better way. And I feel maybe with this podcast, it could help them realize and listen to me without having me actually talk to them or maybe cut them off, and to be able to digest what I'm really trying to say, which is like, love yourself, be in the moment. You're the main character. Focus on you. Love the people around you. Do the things that you like. It's okay to like what you like. If you like anime, you like anime. I don't really fascinate with anime, nor do I want to judge that either. So yeah, I'm not that guy. I love Dragon Ball Z growing up though. I didn't even know that was anime. Right? Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right, but
yeah, I wasn't really with the anime.
I look at you different now. But no, you know, especially with, you know, giving out gems, like as soon as like, you know, they feel like it's lecturing or something like that, they might block it out. But if there's a podcast, you know, our podcast where they can go back, watch it over and over and over and catch the gems that you're throwing, they might look at it a year or two from now and genuinely watch and be like, that's what he was talking about. Or I read this book 2 years after, you know, Juan gave me a lecture about what I was going through, that's exactly what I needed at that time. And it's coming full circle because I'm doing these things and I'm aligning myself with this, you know, this way of thought, this beyond positive thinking, or this different way of thought. You know what I mean? So these gems that you're giving out, even me, like when you're giving out gems on the podcast, I'll be editing and back home and like listening and re-listening to stuff, and I'll catch stuff every time I listen to it, like that I didn't notice while we were doing the podcast. It literally every episode, it's gems like in it. So, you know, that it's definitely something that is appreciated, and it's something that I feel like is timeless. You know, a lot of stuff we're talking about it doesn't have an expiration date to it. You know, if someone was listening to it 10 years from now or 20 minutes from now, you know, it still could have value to it and, you know, shift someone's way of thinking. You know what I mean?
Right, 100% too. That's the cool thing too about like having conversations with people. And then also, you know, all the things that I talk about on this podcast, I'm actually being very practical with everything I'm saying. And like I have people that I could attest to it that are with me a lot. Like you know the things that I talk about on this podcast, I'm actually living. Like this is not something that I just read off of a book and I'm now just talking about it because it was just fascinating to me. Like I'm actually practicing those type of philosophies. And you seen like my lady was in here earlier and we were also talking about like, you know, there are times where I'll talk to her and I feel that I don't get my point across well, or I am judging her, or I'm putting my expectations or pushing my morale on her, where then I have to, you know, after I express it that way, I'll talk to her and be like, you know what, don't listen to anything I'm saying. Like I projected myself onto you and put these expectations on you of what you should be doing. But if you want to do this, that's perfectly fine. If you feel comfortable and you're happy with that, that's okay. I don't need to, you know, be the type of person to, you know, be hypocritical on some of the things that I'm saying. Yeah, I'm doing something else otherwise. Like if I talk about this podcast, not judging somebody, but then I judge, you know, my partner on the things that she's doing, then that's very hypocritical of me. I look like a coward. Yeah. And that's where I really believe, kind of like I asked you earlier about what you think about when I say, which is my philosophy on by leading by example, which is I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I am what you think I am. So sometimes when people hear that, it gets very confusing because there's like a lot of words into it. Yeah. But in reality, what I'm really trying to say is if I say I'm a trustworthy person and you see me do a lot of trustworthy actions, like every time we talk, I keep it between us if you would like that, or anytime you need help, I'm always here. I'm a person that you can give and be vulnerable with and be open, and you never hear anything that you told me from somebody else, even though you just told me, but then I shared it with somebody else if you didn't want that. And you're like, because of my actions, you're like, oh, well, he's a very trustworthy person. And I say the same thing as well. Yeah. And we both agree that I am a trustworthy person. Then I am what you think I am. But then there's the other part as well. If I say I am a loyal person, and I'm loyal to everyone, I'm a genuine loyal person, that's my label that I put on myself. And let's say we go out to Vegas or somewhere and I'm cheating on, and I have a girlfriend and I'm cheating on her, and then I'm not very being honest with you, and I'm picking sides, who's hot, who's not, and I'm jumping ships and not staying consistent with the people. And I say I'm a loyal person, but then when you get asked or you think about it, or you know, like, hey, he's not a loyal person. I've seen him cheat on his girl. Yeah. I've seen him do this to his friends. I've seen him choose the opportunity and steal an opportunity from somebody else. Then you're going to, you know, and because of my actions, I'm not a loyal person. So then there's that, well, then at that point, because of my actions, and I'm saying I'm loyal, I'm not. Because exactly. I am what you think I am. And if you say I'm not a loyal person, and because my actions actually match a person that's not loyal, then I'm not leading by example, and I'm not being, you know, impeccable with my word, and I'm not really truly who I think I am. Yeah, no, and that's big. You know, I think we talked about that. When did we talk about that? Like last week, we talked about like how you know, kind of pick out your friends or the people you do business with or whatever it may be. And I always go off of actions. You know what I'm saying? Me too. Like
when I you know when I see your growth, when I see how you speak, how you live, like, and how you are in front of the camera and off the camera, if I run into you at the store, like, you're gonna be the exact same person you are right now. You know what I'm saying? There's no hiding behind the curtain, like being a certain way. That's just who you are, right?
Yeah.
And that's respectable. That's why it was so easy to partner with you to do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to open up a fucking gym, I have full trust that you would do everything in your power to benefit that business. You know what I mean? You're not gonna snake me or anything like that, right? Versus someone, oh, I'm a trustworthy person. Oh, you just called your girl and lied to her and said that we were at my crib, but we're at the club. You feel me? Like, right. Come on, bruh. Like, at the end of the day, you gotta not judge someone for their actions, but just watch. You feel me? Like, I'll be thinking about it, like, if this person is willing to cheat on his girl, lie to his girl, talk about his girl behind his back, and this is the woman he loves, what you finna do to me? Like, we friends. What you finna do to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as I leave, you gonna do the same thing to me. Oh, this nigga wasn't on shit. Like, this nigga was that. Or when you with somebody else that maybe not cool with me or something, you gonna talk behind my back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So.
And that's very true, too. You could think about that, too. You could correlate it to that, because that is, if you're going to snake somebody that you supposedly love, you care, you posting pictures of Instagram of you with that in the relationship with that person or that friend, and then when I go meet up with you, you talking shit about that person, or you're putting a bad aura on their name, and you're disrespecting them. It's like, well, if you're going to do that to the person you say on that Instagram post that you love with all your heart, and then what you gonna do to me?
Exactly.
Like, you're gonna do the same shit, and like, that's why you have to be careful with the people that are apologizing with the same mistake every time. Like, you kind of have to, be aware about the actions. Like, you can talk all this shit. You can say you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. This is who I am. I am this. I am the next greatest investor. I know everything. Like, once I hear that I know everything type of mentality, I know that I have to be very, very careful with you, because I know that you know a lot less than what you're talking about.
Yeah, facts. It's like it takes away their credibility, right?
Yeah, all the way. Like, your brand, like your brand is you. So like, if you move off of in a way of not being authentic and moving in a way of trying to get the opportunity and try to slime your way in there, then that's not really the person that you really want to be around, because that type of person is going to do this. You hear numerous amount of stories, like, from, celebrities or rappers or sports athletes, business ventures that go left because, they were showing the person that you partnered with was going to help you. It was talking all this big stuff, and then when the actions were showed, they were making money off you on the side and stuff like that. So you have to very, very be careful and really look at the actions, not the words.
Yeah, facts. That speaks volumes for sure. No, it speaks volumes, and that's why I try so hard, and I try not to, drill myself too much. But it just even when I'm posting stuff on the internet. I'll have days where I don't post because I feel like when I'm posting, I want to be the person that I'm putting out in its entirety. So if I'm busting my ass and showing, oh yeah, I'm working out, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I want to be that off the camera too. So what helps me with that, I forgot who it was, but I was watching this motivational thing, and it was kind of talking about, like, it was Joe Rogan. And he was like, you got to kind of have that mentality or pretend like, you have a camera crew following you around 24/7. And so from what I'm doing, that's the perfect mentality for me. Just pretending like I have a camera crew recording my life and a documentary, like this is a movie, leading up to, the happy ending, Right. So when I'm working out, when I'm doing shit, when I'm jogging, when I'm doing all these things off camera, when I'm doing stuff on camera, you know what I mean? I want to make sure I'm actually doing it. Like, if I'm doing a workout, it's easy to do a workout, do one set of a workout, post a workout, and leave the gym. Or you actually in there, busting your ass, finishing the workout, and then uploading what you did record. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. Right. So I think the main thing, your purpose for, those things and your mentality on, you know, what you put out, what energy you want to put out, what's your purpose for putting this stuff out, and how are you exactly what you're putting out and how you're perceived. Mm-hmm. So I want to be that, you know, that person that is always working. You know what I'm saying? Always working, kind of has that hustler mindset, that hustler drive to do better in all facets. You know what I mean? And over time, I don't care if I'm in the same place a year from now, but I'm continuing growing, I'm continuing getting better than yesterday. Eventually things are going to pop and I'm like gonna grow. I'm gonna, you know, be better in all facets. You know what I mean? Because it's not always going to show, you know, in the naked eye. You know what I'm saying? It might be, you know, behind the scenes. But I just know when it comes down to it, I want to be that grind, that person that like signifies grind and you know, hustling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because a lot of things that you see that's on the surface of like an Instagram grid or Twitter, TikTok, you just see all the work that was behind the scenes that built up that image that you see now. But at the same time, as people, you have to remember that, you know, we're not our ideas, we're not the labels that we might even put on ourselves. Like, we're a human at the end of the day. Like, there's going to be times where, you know, sometimes you're tired, you take a break, or maybe you don't wake up that early in the morning to do what you say you do every day. Like, it's okay, but I think it's so important to be authentic and explain to the people out there that, you know, there's days where I have tough days. Not every day is easy. Like, you know, some days are better than the others. Like, that's why I always encourage, like, always just do the best you can. Like, always go all out with what you can do. Take a rest. You need a rest. You need to, you know, eat that ice cream sometimes. Like, you know, if you're on a strict diet, like, you know, enjoy yourself, you know, live, you know, don't be frugal. Don't do the things that maybe later on or maybe in the moment is causing you to, you know, unnecessary stress. Like, it's okay to have fun. Like, it's okay to be at this moment where you're at right now. Just because you do something that's probably the opposite of what you're saying, like, you just got to be honest about it. Like, not every day is going to be that perfect image. You chase that perfect image, you're going to be, like, depressed. Yeah. Like, there's so many ways you could get into a depression or anxiety or sadness. And a lot of it we do to ourselves within our thoughts. A lot of it's our thoughts, the way we judge ourselves, the way we look at ourselves, the way we compare ourselves to others, how dishonest we are with our words. You have to really be genuine on the things that you're talking about, or else, you know, the world will start to label you and judge you, and you start downwards, going down in a spiral of your thoughts because you're not what you're saying that you are. So that's why I always say, be authentic with yourself and just be uniquely you. Like, you have a lot of attributes that a lot of people don't have that's very unique, and a lot of people love you for that reason. If you think about it, like, a lot of people have somebody that do love them for who they are. And even for the people who don't, you have to then be that person to love yourself. Facts. Love yourself for who you are if you don't have somebody that doesn't love you for who you are. Because it's so important to have that foundation, so then you can basically understand that it's okay to like what you like and be who you are, and stay original to yourself. And if you want to try different things, try different ideas, then so be it. Take a chance, take a risk. That might be your passion, whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts. And do you think that, you know, when someone doesn't meet their potential, or what they're putting out doesn't match up to who they really are, do you think when they aren't who they say they are, right, or who they're putting out, do you think they start projecting themselves on other people, like, oh, you can't be doing that because I can't do it?
Yeah, you see a lot of people project themselves onto you when you talk about your ideas, what you're trying to do, whatever the things that you like, the music. People will try to then project themselves based off their, you know, capabilities, that you can't do it because they can't do it. They'll question the things that you're doing, but really they're kind of talking to themselves. They're not really listening to you and talking to you about your passions or whatever conversation it is. They're actually looking themselves in the mirror while listening to you, and then talking to you in a way of kind of telling themselves that, are you sure you want to do that? What about this? What about if this happens? The what ifs. Like, that's a problematic way to think when you talk about what ifs and projecting your capabilities on somebody. People don't realize that, you know, you can base your curiosity on what other people are doing. I think it's always good to ask why. Like, oh, why do you want to play indoor football? Why? What makes you so passionate about it? Like, what gives you, you know, the drive and to be consistent and to work towards that? Like, you should want to be more curious of why and what gets them going if you don't have something that maybe you're passionate about. You know, hurt people, and they try to put that on other people that are on their way of what they feel is their passion. So you have to be very mindful of people projecting themselves onto you, because then that could kind of limit your growth and limit your passion on pursuing it, or maybe just being in the moment of what you're trying to achieve.
It's good. They hit you with the, you still playing? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm still playing.
This shit don't stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like I, you know, I would hear that so often, bro. And, you know, and me already being strong-minded when it comes to that, you know, and some of the stuff I heard in college too. And I'm like even talking with people, like, bro, the people don't even realize how hard it was to actually get to that level. And when I got to that level, even people that were there, like, damn, like you're you know, you're a junior already, like damn, or you're a senior already, like, damn, you're already, you know, up there in age. And, you know, the hard route that I went, I wanted to be at that level for a reason. So it's just like, you can't project what, you know, say you were at the same school as me, but you weren't on scholarship. You know what I mean? You can't project, you know, you not being able where you were at, you know, and your timing off on me. You know what I'm saying? Or anything in that manner. You know what I mean? Like, even that something subtle as, oh, you still playing, or you know, even something small as, like, people will be like, oh, how much are you getting paid? Like, just straight up. Like, they're like, oh, how much are you getting paid for the year?
That's the first thing that they think about.
And I'm like, damn, bro. Like,
yeah.
what?
They try to correlate things to money.
Like, what, am I supposed to, like, tell you how much? Like, even if I was in the league, oh, how much you getting paid? Why the fuck do you want to know? It's none of your business.
Right.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like,
if I think about it too, I have never asked you that.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I just think it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's like someone, if somebody was a barber, like, oh, how much you getting paid for the month? You know what I mean? Or like every week. I mean, it's just kind of like a weird question to ask. Like,
and it fluctuates too. It's
kind of
like
goddamn business.
Yeah. Like, I understand people being like curious. Like, if you're curious to know, but then it's like,
how much you make this month?
Yeah. But then there's always like an agenda. There's some type of like acceptance they're looking for themselves to then be like, oh, well, it's not that much anyway. Yeah. Or like, well, I'm making more than him anyways doing this. Or like, they try to compare.
People have told me like I remember it was when I first got signed, and I was like, oh yeah, like, it's like, oh, are they getting paid as much as the XFL? Like, are they getting like 500, 600K? I mean, or like 400K? And I'm like, no, I don't think it's that much. And then someone actually told me, like, oh, I wouldn't do it then. I don't have like basically it's not enough for me. Bitch, I don't even remember you playing in high school. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you couldn't play, even if you wanted to. If you dedicated every day to trying to play, you couldn't do it. Like, in your prime, you couldn't do it. And that's why sometimes I just keep it pushing. Like, I'll just, you know, regurgitate everything that they're saying and just, okay, yeah, you know, hey, I wish the best for you. Yeah. But in my head, I'm like, bro, you couldn't do it if you wanted to. Yeah. Like, let's just be real. Like, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, it wouldn't matter. You know, if that helps you sleep at night, like, it's not enough. So that's why I wouldn't do it. You know, okay, cool. That's good for you. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I know my plan. I know where I want to be. And I know this is a stepping stone to where I want to be. So you can't, you know, downplay what I'm doing at all. You can say whatever you want to say about arena ball, whatever it is. When I get to wherever I am, when I get to the league, when I sign CFL, don't hit me up and be like, oh, bro, like, can you talk to your coach? Can you do this? No, nigga, I can't. No, find your way. Like, find it out, you know. You know, God will get you there somehow if you really got faith in what you're doing. But if your actions ain't backing it up, God not finna bless you, bro. What are you gonna put you in that situation for? You didn't work to put your family in a better situation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's people that have worked their whole life and don't get a shot. You know what I'm saying? So what makes your situation special? You know what I mean? It got to be more than than the talent. Like, you know, it gotta be, you know, where's your mind at? You know, if God don't think that you ready for that bread to be in your pocket, you know what I mean? It might be someone that is too kind-hearted that might give away all their money to all their cousins, family, friends, and then be left with nothing. You know, God don't want to see you go through that, so maybe you don't get blessed with that. Right. You know, it was certain situations that I was in when I first signed in 2020 that I really wasn't in good shape to go into a season. Like, mentally, I was really like exhausted, you know, just dealt with the death of my brother. You know, it was just a whole bunch of stuff that was stacking on top of me, and I really was not, I hadn't mentally processed it, and I was going through it during the camp, and I was doing good. Like, you wouldn't even notice, you know, I was still, you know, jokey, smiley, Bdab, but internally, like, when you get home, when the lights are off, when you're laying in bed, that's when everything hits, and it's just like your head spinning, you're like just constant like flash. It's like a movie. It's like all these constant memories of you and your family all together and stuff like that. People who aren't there, and you think about, you wish that, you know, things were different. I wasn't in the right mindset to go into a season. You know what I mean? Like, even with, you know, the little kids and stuff watching our games and stuff like that, I don't want to project that depression or that, you know, way I was on anybody else. You know what I mean? I always want to be happy, smiling, joking. You know, that's one thing I pride myself is, like, no one's going to take my smile away, regardless of how I'm feeling, you know?
That's beautiful.
So, you know, I gotta hold that standard for myself and, you know, be the light for other people, even if I can't be it for myself. You know, so I you know, that 2 years that I had off, you know, I definitely was humbled. You know, God definitely took that time for me. You know, not saying God caused COVID, but I'm just saying, like, that time I had to kind of sit back and really have time for my family, have time to really rewind and be like, okay, what do I want to do? What are my passions? How can I, you know, become healthier, you know, in what I'm doing? How can I be better at what I'm doing? I think it was critical because at 25, I mean, at 20, I think I was 24 at the time. Yeah, 24. Oh, no, 25. I was 25. At 25, I wasn't ready to go into that. Maybe I could have played a whole season and been fine, but I wouldn't have been my better self that I am now. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's hard to explain with words, but it's just I know where I was mentally right there. And, you know, I still, you know, struggle. Not saying that I'm perfect right now, but, you know, it's stuff that I'll always work with, especially with accepting, like, you know, certain family members will never see me play. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now. But, you know, other than that, I'm happy. You know, everyone that's in my life right now, everyone, you know, all my family members that are there, supportive, and, you know, doing their thing and happy, you know, especially, you know, my brother, you know, having his, you know, first child, you know, my mom, dad happy, you know, my nephews and nieces healthy and, you know, happy. You know, we're literally family members. Yeah. Like, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. You know, that it's just all this, it's so much positive to look at because I can easily fall into a state of depression and be like, you know, why me? Why isn't things like this? Right. Or I can, you know, grind and look at the positive things that, you know, that God has blessed me with. You know what I mean? I'm healthy. I have all my limbs. You know, you can walk to the store and see somebody in a wheelchair. I seen somebody. I was driving past, you know, the grocery store the other day, and it was a dude in a wheelchair going in the grocery store by himself without his leg. You know, and you know, it's simple stuff that we don't know, or the simple stuff that we take for granted. Yeah. So we got to be thankful, you know, for the stuff that we do have. You know, you know, you can feel however you want to feel, but you know, at least every day, you know, give thanks for the stuff that you do have. Be happy for what you do have, you know, because just something as simple as having a roof over our head, you know, with the war going on, like there's a lot of people that are in you know, a country that is at war. You feel me? Like, full out invasion, and it's 2022, bro. Like, people were leaving their homes with all their possessions, going to a new country with no money. Be thankful where you're at. you know, it get, because things can be a lot worse. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think with the world too, with certain, you have to really look into your circumstance and realize how good you have it. Even when times are very challenging, sometimes people are, you know, having to move out of their homes, leave everything behind because of a battle that's going on that they can't have a control, or they don't even understand, and they don't even get why during these times we're having a miscommunication or something that we can't talk and work through. And then there's people that are having problems because they have a flat tire in the morning, and or, you know, they're kind of getting in their own way. Mental health is so important. You should always, you know, make sure you take care of yourself, being vulnerable and talking to people. But then you also, what helps too, and I'm not saying you invalidate your feelings, but I'm saying you remind yourself that, wow, like I get to work through this problem that I'm having with myself, with my thoughts, and I'm able to live another day or live right now and try to figure myself out, because there's other people, that's what's going on in Ukraine with Russia and stuff like that, that have it, you know, I can't even watch those videos. Like, I've seen like a lot of videos on Instagram. Like, I can't watch it. I don't want to either. I avoid it. Not like I'm trying to avoid what's going on, but I have what I have going on right here in front of me. Like, I have my own challenges, and I hope and pray for the best for the people out there. And sadly, I can't do much. I mean, I could make a post, but in reality, I just really hope that people all across the world will be able to have a conversation and to have a open dialogue on what we can do to make things work, instead of pushing an old regime or an old philosophy that worked maybe back then. Right now, like, things have changed. We can move in a way of peace without having to even say the word peace, but to have an open dialogue conversation to do what's best for both sides. So it just sucks seeing that, because it's all, what's going on is really just a miscommunication and a push of power, ego, I'm right, you're wrong type of philosophy, and judging others because they don't believe in with what you believe. And that's that for me, that's the almost some of the sad, one of the most saddest things that I see that's going on that causes wars, is just a miscommunication and pushing agendas that aren't even really, that are really problematic, that causes tension with countries and people that don't need to be like that. You can have I respect somebody who has a communication with somebody that they don't agree with and have an open dialogue than I do with somebody that is telling somebody that you're wrong and argue and debate and have these like stupid
try to fight.
Like, I don't respect that. I'm not scared of you. Like, nobody's scared of that. The only people that you're gonna scare are the people that don't know themselves, and or don't really fully believe in what they believe and understand how people work. And that, you know, it happens. You know, not everybody's at a certain place with themselves where they're comfortable with speaking their ideas because of how they were raised or how they were taught. But you ain't gonna fool me with that shit.
Yeah.
You keep that to yourself. I'll hear you out. I'll be curious. I will listen to you and be, you know, ask questions of why you believe. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you you're wrong, even though in my mind I feel that I don't agree with you. I'll let it be known if you ask me, but I'm not gonna start off the conversation with start cutting you off and telling you, you know, you're wrong. In the Bible it says this, or no, you're wrong because history said this. No, you're wrong. I don't want to do that. What is that gonna really do? I'm not here to change your mind. I really want to understand. I want you to figure out if you're wrong. I want you to know. Like, I want you to figure out and test your own ideas, because I can tell you you're wrong, but that doesn't, you know, put it in a way where you're gonna then understand that, you know what, maybe I am wrong because he said I'm wrong. No, you have to make that decision yourself. It's kind of like you can't help a drug addict. The drug addict has to help themselves. Yeah, they have to want to quit, not you telling them that they're gonna quit and that you're gonna send them to 100 rehabs. Like, they have to make that decision. And I know by pushing your belief to somebody else, it never works.
Yeah, facts. And like with, you know, obviously, you know, everybody has their faith, has their faith, and everybody has their different, you know, views on things. And I feel like, you know, when someone, especially when it comes to faith, like challenges your faith, or like, you know, in my instance, like if someone was to tell me like, you know, God's not real, the Bible's not real, that you're entitled to your own opinion, or tell me, oh, the Bible isn't real because of this. I will obviously explain my reasons on why I believe in the Bible, and why, in my testimonies of like stuff that's happened in my life, and why I do believe in God and a higher power, right? That person didn't have those same experiences, so they, they're already stuck in their way. They're not going to, believe me or understand. So, but, listening to someone else and having that open dialogue, and not being like, oh, well, you don't believe in me, or you don't believe in God, so you're going to hell. Right. You're gonna die. You're gonna this and that. That's you can't be like that, bro. Because what kind of Christian, what kind of man of faith would think of someone like that? Like, okay, anyone opposing, it's gonna die. Because at the end of the day, when the judgment day is here, we don't know, who's gonna go and who's gonna get kept. You know what I'm saying? But all we can do is spread love, support to people, and through our actions, show why we're, people of God, or why we're a loving person. And, there's plenty of people that are out there that, aren't from a religion, and, they're beautiful people. They're loving people. Right. They have great minds on their shoulders. You know what I'm saying? And, just because someone is different from us doesn't mean we have to have that certain, mindset towards them, or even like marriages. Someone, some people have got married to where it's like they have different faiths, and their marriage is successful, and I just feel like once you're leading, with love, and you're not having that, that hate in your heart towards that person because they have a different viewpoint of view, that just, I feel like that says a lot about you and your character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One thing I know that people sometimes forget too is like there's two things for certain: life, death. Everything else is like debatable. A lot of things are theory. Some things are like, scientific facts. But at the end of the day, things change. Like what this could cause for a disease within DNA, within evolution, can change structure, and we could then get immune to a response of a disease. Like things constantly are changing. Ideas are constantly, like, varieties of them. But you have to remind yourself that there's really only two things that are for sure, is life and death, and accepting those things and looking into that. And that's something that we can all, agree with, is life and death are very, very serious things. Everything else is kind of to each his own. You have your own idea, your own beliefs, and who am I to tell you that you're wrong for believing what you believe? Like, what works for you works for you. What works for me might not work. So who am I to, act like a god or something? Like I'm right and you're wrong. And at the end of the day, I think we can easily just have a open dialogue conversation, and to be curious on other people. Like, people are fascinating. Like for me, we study other people. Like, humans study other humans. You don't really see a lot of animals do that. Or mammals or whatever, any type of species. Like, humans are very, very, like, intellectual and very smart and very, unique to each his own. Each person has something that they're, like, exceptional at. And sometimes people don't find it, or sometimes people, are so stuck in their head and what's going on that they don't tap into that. That's why I always encourage people to take time off and, take a 6-week vacation, take a week off, go do something different, break that routine. If, let's say, you're not happy though, or you're not content, or you're not at peace, or something's bothering you, like, take the time to be able to learn about yourself and what you like or what you gravitate towards too, so then you can build towards that, instead of, living in a rat race or what society deems to be correct. Like, test that, because a lot of things ain't really what it seems to be.
No, that's facts. And getting out of that mindset of what society says is right, or what society says is beautiful, or what society, you know what I'm saying? That once you get out of that realm, like, you realize it's so much peace. You know what I mean? Like, from my my experience, I don't know about you, but from my experience, like, once I got out of the realm of like getting all those voices out my head, voices as in people on the outside, of like, oh, you're you're too old to do this. Oh, you can't do this because you're from this small area, or you can't be this, or you can't be this, or you. That's once you see like, okay, it's just people projecting onto me, and like, what do I really want to do? And you are succeeding at what you're doing. It's just like, it's like a, how do you say this? It's like a sigh of relief. You know what I mean? You have so much peace in what you're doing, because you know it's genuinely what your heart wants you to do, or what you want to do, and you know what your heart, what you can feel in your heart that you want to do.
You have to have that belief in that faith, whether it's God, you, your intentions, your ideas, where you're trying to go, your family. Like, you have to have like some type of faith, that, because that's what's going to get you to stay consistent on that path. Like, if you don't have faith or a purpose in what you do, then you're going to be tossed around other people's ideas, and they're going to keep questioning you, and then you're going to keep questioning yourself, and you're going to keep teeter-tottering with different things that people want you to be, because you think that's maybe what you're supposed to do. Like, you have to very, very have a good solid foundation. And when I say solid foundation, it's really the purpose of why you do what you do. Like, you know, what drives you, what are you really trying to do in this lifetime? Like, you know, we're only here in our physical form one time. Like, you know, spiritual form, I believe people are immortal. Like, we do live forever when it comes to the spirit of each person. Like, there's somebody that passed away that you still remember. You could still register those ideas, those feelings, those dreams that you have, that you see them in, that they still aren't actually away. They might have, they're not here physically, but they're here spiritually. And that's the thing that you want to do, is leave an impact on people, because when you leave, you can be here forever based off of what you brought to the world, whether it was love, kind, caring, looking out for people, your communication, what you left off here in in a spiritual form. When your physical body leaves, you know, that is what lives on forever.
Yeah, facts. Like your legacy.
Your legacy, yeah. Okay. Basically, what everybody's gonna perceive you differently. Like, the way your mom thinks about you is gonna be different the way I think about you, as a friend, as a brother. So, and that's the coolest thing ever. Everybody has their own idea. That's why it's so important to, you know, when you talk to people, or your loved ones, or the people like closest to you, that you talk to them individually for themselves, and create that relationship of, you know, you don't really think like this, like, you know, I want you to think a certain way every time I'm with you, but it's like, what do you want to push off when every time you get with your friend, or your lady, or your mom, or your dad? Like, who do you want to be remembered as when you leave? That's why I've said it before, like, when you pass away, what do you want people to say at your funeral, and live by that?
That's facts. And like, I remember you brought that up, I want to say, I think 2020, you had said something about that, and I had never thought of it like that, because I don't know, I just, like, before then, I just never thought of, like, you know, thinking about like that, like, what is someone gonna say at your funeral? Like, you know, and when you put it in that perspective, and I was, you know, wasn't doing something that I really wanted to do at the time, or passionate about, I was just like, damn, like, if I was to die today, like, I feel like at the time I was like, I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. I wasn't with, you know, I wasn't in a healthy relationship. I feel like I didn't have a healthy relationship, or a healthy mentality. I feel like I wasn't doing things, you know, for my family in general, like I should have been, you know, because of my mental state. So I just, when I was sat back and thought about that, I'm like, damn, bro, if I was to die tomorrow, like, I feel like my impact, at the time, I felt like my impact wouldn't have meant anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't tell my story. I wasn't inspiring anybody, but, you know, over time, as I sat back, you know, I started doing, you know, the fitness videos, you know, we started the podcast, you know, leaving, like how you said, leaving something behind, to where, you know, someone can get into our mentalities, you know, or a mentality even after we're gone. You know, we have a platform to voice ourselves and voice where we were at this specific time, you know, with everything going on around us, you know what I mean, between being in a pandemic and a war, You know what I'm saying? So I just think that really kind of clicked for me and kind of scared me in a way. Like, damn, like if I was to die, I wouldn't want, anybody really, because someone's gonna say something bad about you. Someone's always gonna find something bad to say. Mm-hmm. But for the people that I care about, I want them to always have a positive light when it comes to me. And at some point, I just reached out to everybody. I felt like I did something. I don't know if you ever done this, but I reached out to everyone I felt like I did bad, like did wrong in a way, or I feel like stuff ended weird, whether if it was friendships or relationships. I just reached out to everyone, and just put out an apology. And talking with my boy Jesse, he was just like, it was one of the things that he did, and he was like, bro, I'm telling you, like, all my blessings came after I did that. And he was like, bro, he's like, he admitted, he's like, that's one of the things that I felt helped me the most. And I was like, let me, I sat down and really thought about it, like, what do I feel weird about, or something that doesn't feel right with my spirit. And everybody knows, you know what I'm saying? If you have any, if you have a soul, or if you have, any consciousness of, being a good person or anything like that, and you have done someone bad, it's going to mess with your conscience in a way, so I just reached out and, apologized to everybody, and, had that open conversation, uncomfortable conversations at times. And, I felt like, in a way that God blessed me. And, it seemed like, within the week, 2 weeks that I was doing that stuff, and, in my thoughts and just praying and stuff like that, like, I just felt so much better. I felt like a sigh of relief, and that was like kind of like the start of, my climb to getting to where I am. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever done that? Like, have you ever felt like at a certain point it was like, oh, I feel like, this stuff is weighing me down. It's hurt. Like, in my soul, I feel like like, I didn't do my best with someone, or relationships fell out, or me and my boy fell out because of a miscommunication, and now we don't fuck with each other or whatever. Like, did you ever feel like you had to reach out to someone and have that uncomfortable conversation?
Man, I just want to start off by saying, like, that was, like, beautifully articulated, like, everything you just said. And it's funny because I was thinking about that too earlier. Was, I've had the conversations with people who I feel as if I also still have a few more conversations. You bring this up made me, like, right now, probably after this podcast, like, I'm gonna send some messages out to people that I believe wasn't a reflection of me, the way I ended things, because I feel like I ended things the way that at a time, I moved around a lot with my family. Like, we moved, like, within like a 5-year span, moved like 6 times, like, cause
oh shit.
So, like, I never really felt the feeling of a home. So, like, even with my apartment, I feel I can add a more home to it. But the fact that I moved around a lot never really made me feel comfortable at being at home, because I always felt like I'm going to leave. Like, it's only a matter of time until I leave here. And I ended some relationships, I feel, not the way that I wanted to, in a reflection of how I felt about that person. There was times where, I may have ended a relationship, and there was people around, like family that was connected to the person who I was with, that I loved dearly, and showed the support of they had glimpses. Like, when they listen to this podcast, I'm sure they're like, we seen this coming. Like, he was going to potentially do something like this with a podcast, or be a voice, like, because I've heard that from those people. And I immediately, in my way, they may have felt, and they could speak to it, of how they feel. Like, I cut them off completely, because I felt at that time that was the best thing to do for me. But also at that time, looking back in retrospect, I did what I felt my mom did to us when I was a kid. And then also moving around a lot, I didn't communicate. I just up and left. Didn't really relate a message or explained of why I made this decision. And so from looking back now and then being here, I've had the conversation with a few people in my past, especially the women in my life that were with me in relationships, that I had a conversation with them, kind of explaining, kind of give closure for myself, but then also maybe answer some questions to them that maybe could clear a conscience they have or not, depending on how they think of the situation. But you do want to clear your conscience, because that does create anxiety, depression, and, kind of bothers you throughout the day if you don't handle your problems and have a communication of something that you felt you did somebody wrong. And I've had those conversations even recently, just last year. I've had that conversation that was beneficial for the both of us, because we were both, human beings that made mistakes of what we felt was best at that time, or what, helped fuel us to keep going and distract ourselves. And I wasn't the person to judge them, and I hope they felt they weren't the person to judge me as well, because we have our own things that we were working through and maybe didn't work through or didn't realize that was causing friction in a relationship. But that was beautiful what you said, and I definitely have some messages that I do want to send out, because I felt that, I actually dearly love those people, and I might have cut communication off in a way that, looking back now, I wish I could have maybe explained, like, I'm doing it like this because, I need to just create some space, and I don't want to, cause a friction between, or a conflict between the person who I was with and the family, because I did deeply care for them as they were my family, because they were my family at that time. And so I will always have love and support them, like the pictures on Instagram or whatever. Or, I might have blocked them on Instagram because I felt, whatever I felt at that time for the reason of me doing it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, clearing your conscience and being honest and communicating. And I never expect, somebody to accept an apology. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, when I say an apology, I'm really kind of doing it to clear my conscience, and maybe if this might help you, or it might not either too. Maybe just for me, just express myself, just to show my true feelings of how I felt, and just to be at peace with, if I see them around, like, it's love, and they're not surprised why I show them love, because they maybe felt that I don't fuck with them, or I don't associate myself with them, because that's not true. That's not a reflection of me. Like, I love people, every single person that's been in my life, whether they thought that I looked at them in a good or a bad way.
Yeah. And I feel like even if they don't reply, bro, you put that, the ball in their court, you let them know how you feel and where your mentality is now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Regardless if they reply or not, because, every message I sent it in the intent of, like, I know they're not going to reply. I'm putting this out there, like, I'm sending my apologies. I'm letting them know why, I was taking accountability for whether breaking things off, or, feeling some type of way, or how things were at that time. So when you're reaching out to them and doing this, like, if they might not reply, but they'll appreciate the message, that's fine, because they got the message. You know what I'm saying? So, right. With the type of person you are and the soul that you have, bro, and, the willingness to grow, like, it's beautiful to see, like, if that's what it takes, like, for you to, have that feeling of, like, not having no weight on your back, that might be one of the things, that you have to do, to suppress the anxieties, that might be one of the reasons you might deal with anxieties and stuff like that. So you never know what good it can do.
Right. 100%. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You want a really clear conscience, so then you could really live in the moment and focus on whatever is that task that you want to, complete in your life, or be successful, and just to live. That's all we got. Is just to really live your life, do the things that you like. And, I've, like, had times where I looked into death, because I felt, I had death around me too. I have my cousin tattooed on my chest that passed away at the age of 16, so, like, I've, like, experienced that too in a very early age too, and, like, fully feel those emotions, feeling somebody that, you looked up to, and to then get murdered, like, the next day. So, like, having that, going through those experiences of death too, maybe look into it myself, because there were times where I've almost, like, thought about, like, ending my life because of all the problems I was having to me, and my internal dialogue of what's running through my mind. So I didn't know how to accept it. I don't know whether this was normal, and, like, it was weighing heavy on me, and to the point I just wanted to end it, like, I don't want to think about stuff like that no more. So I had to be accepting of death in order for me to live in this moment, which is kind of like an interesting way to think, because, I'm a very, like, I believe, like, I don't want to label myself like a philosophical person with the way I move and the way I think. So I think very, very deeply into every decision or move that I make. So then I'm making sure it aligns or it's very purposeful, or is it beneficial for me, and that's not problematic where it'll cause me harm. So I've got to the point where, you know, accepting things for what they are and being okay with whatever outcome happens, and just being in this moment and just move in a way of light for people, that even though I'm going through this and you feel that I'm going through worse than you could accept yourself for feeling how you feel, because it's okay at the end of the day, regardless of what's going on.
Facts. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
But yeah, no, for sure. But, you know, I think that's going to wrap it up, you know, for episode 8. You know, I appreciate, you know, you for opening it up and, you know, shooting game to the people. You know, you never know who it's going to reach to. You feel me? Especially with the topics that we're talking about. You know, I feel like it's timeless. You know, someone, you know, 5 years from, like I said earlier, someone 5 years from now can look back at it and still catch some gems. You know, you watching it over and over could catch some gems. So, you know, I really do appreciate it. And, you know, we appreciate all you guys. You know, we're steady climbing. You know, we're doing our thing on TikTok, Instagram, you know, and I really appreciate you guys, you know, sticking with us. Yeah, you know, letting us know, like, how you guys feel about the podcast, you know, good or bad, you know, whatever it is. You know, I really do appreciate every single one of you. You know, me and Juan, you know, we've been busting our ass, you know, bringing you guys content. You know, Juan's been working long hours and still finding the time to come back home and still work on stuff for the podcast. And, you know, all the time that he's putting in, all the time I'm putting in, like, you know, it's for you guys at the end of the day. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next time for Self-Revelations.